So, how can we read God's first book? How can we meet God in what He's made? I think the starting point is that we have to stop. We have to actually look at it. We have to see, and that's partly why we talked about ecological theory a little moment ago. But the first step here, the first thing you have to do, you want to see God's first book? You've got to reach into your pocket, take out that little rectangle of high-tech, look at it fondly one last time, then tie it to a brick and throw it into the swamp behind me. If you're viewing reality through this little rectangle of technology, you can't see very much at all. Everything you see is mediated. You can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can only hear and see what someone else is revealing to you. But God wants you to experience creation in every aspect of what it is to be human. So we say this to the students in the environmental science class. See if you can put your phone down. This is actually one of the assignments. Put your phone down, go outside and sit down for 15 minutes. And they're kind of clinging to the desk. Sit down for 15 minutes without your phone and see what you see. It takes at least 15 minutes. Actually, it takes about 15 years, but the 15 minutes is the starting point. Sit down out there without your phone and just see what happens. And they're actually always amazed, kind of amazed by what they experience. Because when you start looking, when you start noticing, maybe there's a little bug crawling up a stem of grass at your feet. Maybe there's a little track where some mouse has wended its way amongst some tussocks of grass. You might see some little seed husks, what it's been eating, maybe the little hole where it lives. You're looking out over a pond of water and you don't see anything for the first while, but eventually you realise that right in front of you are a load of fish just resting silently under the water surface. And you couldn't see them because of the glare, because they're incredibly beautifully camouflaged, right? That's natural selection. The ill-camouflaged fish just gets munched up straight away, so there's strong forcing for good camouflage. That's ecological structure. Remember I talked about structure and function? That's structure. So we have the bits and pieces and how they're kind of connected together by Lego. But if you stay there longer, you start to notice function as well. So why is it that mouse's path is exactly where it is? Well, you think back to Martin the mouse trading off risk and reward, right? How much energy it can get, it can acquire versus how much risk it has to take. What's the highest probability of it attaining growth and sexual maturity and reproduction? So maybe there's some edge nearby where the mouse can stop and look around before it rushes out to find something to eat. But why are the fish where they are? Why right there? Maybe there's some sort of eddy in the water there which requires almost no energy to sit there. Or maybe there's a bridge just a little way off and there are bugs hatching on the bridge and some of those bugs are drifting down and they're landing on the water right where those fish are lying, not by coincidence, right? Remember, the fish can't afford to behave randomly. That's not profitable enough. So they've placed themselves where they can optimize energy input from eating bugs against energy use from actually swimming up and catching those bugs. And that's function. This is the flow of energy through the system, right? From the bugs to the fish, to you maybe, or to an alligator. Maybe the fish dies and lands on the bank and decomposes back into the soil, and that grows more plants, and so on. So there you start to see ecological structure and function. But it takes time. And it takes an ability or a desire to read God's first book in the same way you might want to read his second book in the scriptures. Okay, so that's a good start. No, but then it gets a little bit sadder because the trouble with recognizing the wonder and diversity and beauty of creation is you start to see very, very quickly that we haven't always dealt with it very constructively.